Alright, so we are back with another part of lesson 4 and we started functions in C++. Today, our topic of discussion is pass by value versus pass by reference. Now, let's have a look at the theoretical concepts. This is one of the most important concepts in functions. Let's just understand this concept in simple words. In pass by value, we create a copy of value so the change is not seen in original value. For example, in daily day-to-day day life, then when you are managing your files, when you create a certain copy of file, so if you rename that copy, it is not seen in the main file. The main file has its own name and the copy file has its own name. So this is the concept of copy. But in pass by reference, when we pass the reference of variable, so any change in that variable within function take place is seen in the original value. Now, I will recall the concept of pointers here, where we discussed in details regarding the addresses. So if you haven't seen those videos, so you must watch them. So you will get the idea of addresses. Now, what is the address of variable? In memory, whenever the memory allocate any kind of space to a variable, whether it is static or dynamic, it has a unique address. So if you pass the address to a certain variable and you change something in it, it will be seen in the main variable. Okay, so let's demonstrate this concept in our code blocks window. Let's go. So all right, welcome back to the code blocks window. So let's demonstrate the concept of pass by value. So we have discussed in detail the basics of pass by value in our first part. So here I'll just give you an example that cannot be solved with pass by value easily. We will have to use pass by reference. But in order to understand the pass by reference, I will just try to attempt the same program with pass by value as well. That is swapping of two variables. For example, if I have two variables like integer num1 and num2, num2 might be 7 and num1 can be 9. Let's say I want to swap these two variables. So one thing is that we will introduce a temp variable which will hold the data temporarily. Now first thing first is temp is equals to num1 and num1 is equals to temp not num2 and num2 is equals to temp. So what just happened here that we have swapped two values. First of all, one value was passed to temp. So the value was stored within the temp. Then num1's value gets overridden by the num2's value. Then num2 value is overridden by temp. So in this way we have just swapped two values. So let me just give you this cout. So before we will just print num1 and num2. Okay, and we will provide some space within them. So we will say \t. Now let's print out these values after the swapping. So before 9 7 and after 7 9, and both are same. Num1 was 9, num2 was 7, and num1 was 7, and num2 was 9. Okay, so we have successfully swapped these two values. Now if I tell you that you have to swap these two values within the function with the help of function, so maybe you are a beginner in function and you just start writing this float swap swapping, and receive integer num1, integer num2, and let's define. And you write this whole code there. Cut. Oh, sorry, not cut, just paste. And let me just copy, and we will paste within here. Okay, and integer, let me just integer temp. Okay, now everything is correct. Okay, everything is correct if you are just printing these things within that. Okay, everything is correct, but you cannot receive that change within your main function. I'll say void, let's say float, I write float. One thing about return data type is that you can use only one return in one function. You can use multiple returns, but that will depend upon the conditions met. Okay, so if else switch case, if there are multiple kinds of if else statements or switch case statement, then you can use return data. But at one time, the function can only return one value or one change. So if I return here num1, so will it be seen here? Nope. What about num2? If I return num2, will it be seen here? No. But what about num1? So it is not efficient way of doing it, and we cannot obtain our change in our functionality with this approach. Now here comes the concept of pass by reference. If I somehow pass the addresses of these numbers to the function and then perform this swapping, then the change will automatically take place within those values if I am not returning anything as well. Let's demonstrate this. So if I am not returning anything, so the best way of doing it is to use void keyword, and we are not returning anything. And pass by a reference has a syntax of receiving a reference. So that is represented by this AND symbol. Okay. Now what this line of code means, that whatever has been sent from this main function to the our defined function receive the references of those variables. Now let's see and demonstrate will our code work or not. So let's see. So we say swapping, and we will send our num1 and num2. Will it work or not? Let's have a look. And we do not need temp here. Alright, you can see the num1 was 9 and num2 was 7. Now num1 is 7 and num2 is 9. And this shows that the values have been swapped without even returning values. No return. And without even facing the difficulty of returning multiple values, because we cannot return multiple values at one time. So this is the concept of pass by reference when you pass the address of any variable. So let me give you a quick walkthrough of pass by reference again. So pass by reference receive the address of variable. So whenever you have the address, the change at address is seen in main variable as well. So this is the concept. Whenever you have the address, the change at address is seen in main variable. So this was a bit of introduction about pass by value and pass by reference as well. I hope you got the basic idea of pass by reference. I'll suggest you to practice about this, and we will perform some practice problems on these concepts in later on parts. But for now, just practice on the basic concepts of pass by value, pass by reference, and the basic syntax of functions. So I'll meet you guys in the next video.